Alright, what's good, people? I really need to clean and re-string this thing here. This is a 2019 Fender Professional Telecaster. So I'm going to take this ashtray off, which is, you call it an ashtray. It's not really, is it? And put that aside for now. This thing's covered in dust. It has been sat for nigh on a year. I'm not even kidding you. And it's just been completely neglected. I've been playing other guitars. I've had other little projects. And yeah, and this is sat in the corner, literally gathering dust. This thing is filthy. So I'm just gonna give it a initial little wipe down, and then we'll get into it. I'm gonna change the strings. Well, it should be one of the last things I do. Put that aside for now. Right, first of all, I'm going to get the old strings off. So I've done a couple of modifications to this guitar. I've installed Fender locking tuners. I decided to mix this one up a little bit, and I actually went for the brushed chrome. So it's got more of a satin look to it, not a shiny chrome machine heads. I've also added some Fender strap locks. They are in gold, again just to mix it up a bit. I'm just going to put a pack of Ernie Ball Super Slinkys as a direct replacement on this. So I'm going to give the frets on this a polish with, whilst we've got all the strings off, I'm just going to check all of the screws and nuts to make sure they're still pinched fairly tight. It's just a 10mm spanner. Fits most guitar machine heads. I'm always very careful when tightening these things up, because any screws that are direct into the wood, they can strip. More, I guess, common with guitars that are made from soft body woods. That's really loose, actually. How this has come that loose is a bit concerning, to be honest with you. I'll keep an eye on that. See, this one's nice and tight still. Do you know what I think might have caused this one to come loose is when it clips in. I don't know if you can see, it sticks out quite away from the body, and there's a lot of play in there. And it is solid. It's not going to drop or come out, but there's a lot of play which I don't like. I much prefer shallow S-locks. Right, next step is I'm going to polish the frets before I go any further. So what I use is Liberon quadruple zero ultra fine steel wool and some Dunlop fret collars. And you can kind of see the difference already. So I'm going to go ahead and polish all of these. So hopefully we can now see that the frets are looking a lot better than they were. This is a maple fretboard and it's lacquered. I'm just using water, so there's just regular water in there. I'm just going to use that to clean the fretboard and the frets, and also the back of the neck, because it's a satin finished back of the neck, so I don't really want to use any polish. Whoa. And then I will use separate dry cloth. I just use these Dunlop finishing cloths. I love these. I like Gibson guitar pump polish. I use it on all my guitars. It works fine for poly as well as nitro. I'm just going to clean under here. And I'll just buff that off with another clean cloth. Same for the headstock face. Wrong spray. Right, so now that's done, we can start re-stringing it. And I'll do that for all the strings. Alright, so one thing that I do with this guitar, because of the type of saddles it has, is I just make sure the strings are fairly equally spaced. Main thing is getting the high E and the low E equidistant from the edges, and then just spacing out the other strings. But I think we're good, so let's just start tuning these up. And now, because I took all of the strings off, I'm going to tune them up equally across the board, just so you're putting the tension on the neck back on uniformly, I guess. Alright, we're somewhat in tune, and I'm just going to make sure that the strings have stayed where I set them, which, yeah. So now I'm going to stretch the strings in. You see, guitar strings don't actually stretch. They settle in where they curve at the bridge, and then at the plate, if they go through their body, for example, and at the tuning posts, they will settle in. So when they're initially strung and it's curved around the post, there's more of a curve. After they've settled in, it becomes more of a sharp curve, and therefore you get some slack in the strings. What I do is I just take each string, lightly tug it at 3 different locations, and then I fret it with my thumb, and I sort of pull up, tug up at the 12th, move my thumb to the 2nd fret, 3rd, 4th, all the way up. You get the idea. I saw someone do this once. It was a guitar tutor that I had many years ago, and I decided to just copy that. And I'm only very lightly tugging on them. I'm not twisting dramatically or anything, but I find that doing this for each string and then retuning up to pitch, and then I repeat the process a total of 3 times, one of those times being after I've cut the excess string off beyond the post. And I find that once I've done that, the guitar is solidly in tune. It will have no further settling in movement, so it's absolutely ready to play. Okay, so now that is now that's done and the strings are properly stretched in. Just gonna trim the ends off. I was gonna check the intonation. I'm just using a Boss TU3 down on the floor here. Intonation is good enough for government work, so I always select the neck pickup when tuning, and I roll usually the tone all the way off. It doesn't change the tuning at all, or make anything more accurate as such, but it can help if you're using like a floor or a pedal tuner. It can help the tuner track the notes. Not so bad when you're in standard tuning anyway, but the lower in tuning you go, sometimes you'll find that if you play like the low E, and if you're in, I don't know, drop C or lower, you can sometimes find that the tuner has a hard time tracking the note and getting it accurate, such as a habit I've got myself into. Right, so I mean that's Re-stringed, we've cleaned the fretboard, done the frets, we've already cleaned the headstock face and underneath here. I'm just going to go ahead and clean and the rest of the body. Now with the Gibson pump polish, and a lot of polishes to be honest, it does sometimes leave a little sort of streak, or whatever you might call it, and that's why I use this. So it's clean, dry Dunlop finishing cloth, and it's brilliant for finishing. I don't put any product on this. I use a separate cloth for actually putting the product on, and then this one is just for buffing off. And it gives it a lovely streak-free finish. It's great. I will just go over the knobs and the switch, the machine heads. Clean the back of the neck, so just using standard water again. I'll be honest with you, I don't really like satin or matte finished necks either. Personal preference, I guess. I do prefer gloss. But on this Fender is actually one of the best ones I've played. There we have it. Let's take some close-ups.